Smoke? That's not smoke. Those are gnats. Clouds of gnats. All of these things on my arm, gnats. Look at this. I'm gonna puke. They're in my eyeballs. They're in my eyeball. I don't know if you get. They're in my eyes. Everywhere. I thought it was smoke. You see that? Let me zoom in all the way. Those are clouds of gnats. That is not smoke. And I feel sick. This was a bad idea.
Oh my goodness.
Look at my legs. Look at my legs. Oh. Okay, well, unfortunately, I got to go back through it to go home. Look at that. That's biblical. That's pillars of smoke. Except they're I'm going down. Except they're gnats. It's beautiful though.
It gets worse. Many of you have seen this already, but I'll explain why I'm starting the show with this. Good evening. Started 10 minutes early as well.
Look at that.
People are panicking. Get to the internet! I'll just take myself out. I think you can still hear me. It was at that moment that Viva knew he screwed up.
Gnats. Microscopic gnats.
I had the joke nasty, but I accidentally said Nazi in my own. Nazi, like, they're gnats and they're... Okay.
Watch the face. Ah? I've learned a valuable lesson. Take the camera.
Are those bugs?
Yes, they are, Marion.
I still found gnats in the bed this morning.
Each and every one of them.
Let me make sure that we're live across platforms while this plays.
Blackface.
Saucy Mary.
Inside of you.
It's clouds. It was biblical. It was clouds.
Why didn't you stop? Come home. You didn't have to go anywhere.
What?
What?
What happened?
It's just dirt.
Look.
The bugs?
Yep.
The kid has problems digesting this
Why?
information.
What happened?
You went biking.
I went biking through the Bible, apparently.
No whale?
Look.
Did you get all the way to Waxahachie?
No. I'll have to see where I got them. Do you want to hose
There's
me down?
no ants?
No, they're gnats. You want to hose me down?
Okay, I'm good.
No, you want to hose me down?
Nope.
I'm going to hose
Boy
myself
doesn't
down.
want to hose your
We learned a
father
lesson
down.
today.
What kind of boy is that?
After a nice Florida rainfall, the gnats come out. Cheers.
Look at this. It was glorious.
Oh my
Dave,
goodness.
they're alive on your helmet.
Look at this.
They're still alive.
Oh my gosh.
They're going to be in your hair.
Look,
What
at
animal
them. Look at
eats
this.
gnats?
They're going to be in your hair. Your mane.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my! Yeah, look
Right.
at that.
Here, you can show my face. I need to take a shower.
Oh, while everyone trickles in,
Oh my gosh. Oh my
you're watching me get denatified.
Oh my god, your neck. Your neck.
Look at this.
It's still totally alive.
Oh, they went
They're down
down.
my pants.
Oh my god.
They're down my
Oh my
pants.
god, it's going to be everywhere. Forever.
Woohoo! There's a gnat.
Everybody, good evening. I'm going to make sure I'm using Rumble Studio tonight because I want to do a couple of tests. They're still taking my feedback in terms of improvements that can be made to Rumble Studio, and I'm going to test something out tonight, and it's going to be mind-blowing. We started a little early because Barnes, I think, has a hard out at 8 o'clock, a hard out, to catch a flight. And I figure you'll start early, let everyone trickle in, start with that video so that I can also tinker with what needs to be tinkered with while using the Rumble Studio, which is amazing. Some things that I need to remind myself to do. It doesn't create a YouTube landing live page, so you can't turn on monetization and you can't check that little box that says the stream contains a paid promotion. And I want to make sure that I'm able to do that. So before we run the sponsored ad, because I'm neurotic and I don't want anyone accusing me of like, he ran a sponsored ad and didn't check the box on YouTube. Wojcicki, I don't know who the CEO of YouTube is anymore. So that's what happened yesterday, people. I decided to go for a bike ride to try to give my legs and my gluteus maximus a rest. And I went biking along one of the canals trying to get to the fishing spot where they have these points of entry by, there's a bike, it's a bike path. And I'm in the biking and I get like some, clouds of gnats in my face, which has happened before. It happened the first summer I got here. It always happens after a rainfall. But I'm biking. I was like, oh, there must be a forest fire in the distance because there's a massive plume of smoke. They were gnats. And yeah, can I bring this up? Oh, I can. Look at this. Can I pin? Oh, hold on. This is from Locals. I don't know that I can pin a picture. Yeah, it doesn't let me pin a picture of a comment, but I can see the picture. Yeah, it was traumatizing. I learned a very valuable lesson. When, after a nice rainstorm in Florida, is it not the best time to go for a bike ride? Good Sunday evening, everybody. As everyone trickles in, because I started early, and I think people are going to be shocked and appalled. We've got a hell of a show tonight. Barnes will come in and, we'll talk about what's on the menu tonight, but obviously we're talking the Trump trial jury debacle. We're talking about the Hunter Biden trial debacle. We're talking about the news in the Alex Jones situation where I had on Chase Geyser on Friday. Man, the news is apparently Alex is liquidating his interest in InfoWars. We're going to talk about it with Barnes when he gets in here. But I wanted to start with that humor, and then I wanted to play something which I was going to start with as the intro. Now, I'm getting refamiliarized with Rumble Studio. It's amazing. But to make sure that I don't screw things up here, I wanted to start with this, which was a shout out to my boy Vinny Oshana. Now, let me make sure that we're seeing this because let me see here. Good. Okay, I see it. Now I'm gonna put this up here. This is freaking hilarious. Vinny has got a thing going, and I love it. Vinny Oshana, Vincent Oshana, the Unusual Suspects host. He works with Patrick Bet-David at Valuetainment, and he's a stand-up comic, and he's freaking hilarious. Listen to this.
Your junkie son Hunter was begging his dead brother's wife, and he got her addicted to crack. What do you have to say about that?
What was that?
Hunter, crack, cocaine. He's a degenerate. Is he ever going to change?
I don't think so. He's trying to work out a serious problem he has.
You're the worst father in the history of fathers. I hope you're proud of yourself, Joseph. Joseph, come back here. Joseph! Joseph!
Sorry, it's that squeal
Your junkie
that
son
Vinny
Hunter
does,
was
which is
begging his
fantastic.
dead brother's
All right,
wife.
good. So now I know how to share screen, and I'm going to refamiliarize myself with that. Rumble Studio has a wonderful thing where you can put a comment up on a timer. This one's up for a minute, and in a minute it's going to automatically disappear, and I love it. It's beautiful. How goes the battle, everybody? Can we believe the world in which we are living? It's one thing after another, and I don't even know where to. I want to see when this. Okay, 18 seconds. I can see it. Funny Shia. We are live across all the platforms. For those of you who don't know who I am, Viva Fry, David Freiheit, former Montreal litigator turned current Florida Rumbler. Sunday night is our Sunday night law extravaganza with Robert Barnes. We have an amazing community at vivabarneslaw.locals.com, and after a minute, it just disappears. We start off on 4 platforms while using Rumble Studio: YouTube, CommieTube, as I like to call it. Twitter. I will not call Twitter Commie Twitter because it's good, but it's not as good as Rumble, platform number 3, and vivabarneslaw.locals.com. And we are live on all 4 of them. What we end up doing is when we get to a certain point in the stream, we vote with our feet, we vote with our eyeballs, we vote with our dollar, and we end on YouTube and Twitter. We're going to end on YouTube and Twitter. And then we go over to Rumble, Viva Fry on Rumble, and vivabarneslaw.locals.com. Wrong mic.
Mike. There we go. That's fine. I didn't get too far into the show. Thank you. I clicked it twice, and I know that I did. And so we go to Rumble and then vivabarneslaw.locals.com. At the end of the show, we end on Rumble. Now, it's a bit of a quirk when using Studio. When you end on Rumble, it goes to vivabarneslaw.locals.com supporters only. That's different than when I use StreamYard, and it's the way it's built. And so the after party, this time around, we'll see how it works and if it upsets too many people. But if it doesn't and it works, we'll have the exclusive after party. It's going to be for supporters only on Rumble. He never listens about the mic. What do you mean, Rock? I always listen about the mic. It just keep screwing up. I know that I clicked it, and so I think when I bump myself from the screen, it might reset it. Whatever. I'm gonna make an excuse for myself. All right. Now that I've checked off the box that this stream contains a paid promotion, because it does, we're gonna bring up the paid promotion. I was gonna start with this, but I don't want anybody saying, "Oh, Viva, he started with the paid promotion and didn't give credit." By the way. This is our sponsor of the evening. It's Morning Kick. Do you guys know how old Chuck Norris is? It's not a joke. I'm going to play a bit of this video. I'm not going to play the whole thing because you're going to go check it out. It's in the pinned comment. Chuck Norris is 80 years old and still kicking butt and working out and staying active. What's even more shocking is he's stronger, can work out longer, and even has plenty of energy left over for his grandkids. He did this by making one change. I'm going to show you a bit of the video. He says it still makes him feel like he's in his 50s. His wife even started doing this one thing too, and she's never felt better. She says she feels 10 years younger. Her body looks leaner, and she has energy all day. And no, people, it doesn't come from eating an involuntarily a lot of gnats. Chuck has made a special video that explains everything. Make sure you watch it by going to chuckdefense.com/Viva. And because I have a bit of a lisp, and because in Canada we spell defense differently than in America, chuckdefense.com/Viva, or by clicking the link in the video below. It will change the way you think about your health. Once again, chuckdefense.com/Viva. I'm not going to play the whole thing, but I'm going to play a touch of it because it's
I believe in always being prepared for the unexpected. That could mean a natural disaster or even a threat to your loved ones. But what if the unexpected danger wasn't something outside your door, but inside your own body? Achy joints, digestive issues, weight gain, and fatigue. We're told these are normal signs of aging, but in my experience, it could mean something much worse.
And I will leave the suspense there. Just a reminder, the legendary Chuck Norris is whopping 81 years old and has more energy than a lot of us. He discovered he could create dramatic changes to his health simply by focusing on 3 things that sabotage our body as we age. Watch his method by clicking on the link in the description below, chuckdefense.com/Viva. And I'm going to stop this here. I'm going to go back down. One thing they're going to improve in Chuck Norris is a close friend with the Clintons. Death is afraid of Chuck Norris. All right, let me give everybody the link. It's in the pinned comment anyhow. And there you go. Link. Boom, shakalaka. All right. Let me see one thing here. We're good on all of this. Okay. Now, I will have to also make sure that I sent Barnes the link. Copy, and I'm going to send Barnes the link. I'm going to get smoother with a guest on StreamYard. Let me see. Robert Barnes link. Boom. Send. Bada bing, bada boom. And I'll see there's no permission required. Good. All right. What else do I have on the backdrop as the intro videos of the evening, people? Holy cow. Okay. No. Look, it was the segue. By the way, chuckdefense.com/Viva. Go check it out. But I gotta show you this. If this is what they do in front of the cameras, imagine what he did behind the cameras. This is a video posted by Joe Biden himself. I'll keep fighting to strengthen the Affordable Care Act so grandparents can be around longer for their grandkids. You look at this video and you tell me if you think this looks normal, that this is something that someone should post to celebrate themselves as opposed to someone else posting it to make fun of them. Look at that.
Hi, how are you?
Hi,
What's your name?
Phoenix.
Phoenix.
I want to thank you for Obamacare. Unfortunately, it was cancer free. I looked at the payment. 9 rounds of chemo was $7,500. 40 rounds of radiation was $1,200. If it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't be here. Thank you.
It's got another $800 for you too.
I'm here to take care of my grandkids.
Look at this. I'll pause it, people. Call me whatever names you want.
Hi, how are you?
Look where his hand is. Look how close he gets to her, and look at this face of like pure whatever you want to call it.
What's your name?
What's your name? This is weird. Can I zoom in? Nope. This is weird. What's your name?
Phoenix.
Phoenix. Oh, Phoenix. It's like, oh my God, they discovered gold, people. He just figured out the formula of the universe. He discovered. Look at that face. Like, oh, it's so bizarre and a little bit uncomfortable. I'm not sure I can read some of these comments in here, but yeah, Sniff says Honor 234. Oh, that was one video also. I mean, it's not normal. It's never been normal. And you got the likes of Anthony Scaramucci is now coming out and praising, singing Biden's praises. You cannot believe this. I don't know what the hell's going on. I don't know what's going on, but you got to listen to what Scaramucci, who I guess at one point he was pro-Trump, but at this point I strongly suspect they've got something on Scaramucci, because there's boot licking, then there's butt licking, and Scaramucci is so far off the deep end for Biden butt licking that I say they've got something on him. President Biden, Anthony Scaramucci says, is in better shape than most people think. And there's obviously a lot of distorted video here on X that makes him look older than he actually looks and feels in person. When he cleans Trump's clock during the debate, it'll be interesting to see how MAGA handles that. Can you imagine anybody being that freaking delusional? And I posted the tweet as a joke, but as a needle. I mean, there's loyal. Like, I don't know why he would ever be loyal to Biden. Maybe he chose to. Who knows? Hey, there's Barnes. Maybe see, now this is the thing. I had it set up. I have to figure out how to not bring you in involuntarily. There's loyalty, and then they've got blackmail material on him. Now, maybe I've just been listening to The Great Awakening, Alex Jones's new book, and it's fantastic. Too much. But that's what I think. Barnes, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to bring you in like that. It's on the default presentation mode. Sir, how goes the battle, and whose basement are you in?
I'm in Denver, Colorado. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, you're good. It's a little muffled. I'll see what Locals has to say. You're in. Are you in like the cellar room?
Yeah.
Well, the connection is good. Let me hear what they have to say about the audio. Audio good. What are you doing in Colorado?
Here for the Freedom Council conference with Warner Mendenhall, Mary Holland, a bunch of folks working together on the vaccine mandate context, other aspects of personal freedom, but particularly medical freedom related issues.
Okay, very nice. And okay, I will not make jokes about the. I've done streams from the bathroom, Barnes. Who the hell am I to make jokes? So, and you're heading back home this evening?
No, I got to go to Orange County to make sure a trial gets delayed. The trial is supposed to start Monday, but it's now supposed to be continued. But the judges previously denied continuances, so I got to be there to make sure it gets continued.
Now, some of the comments say, where is he? Looks like he's in an HVAC room. People said, can I bump up your audio? Now let me see how I can do that. Audio. See, I'm not going to take a chance, but I'll see if there's that function there, because I don't even know how to do it. Robert, I know that you have to leave. Well, you have a hard out at 8. Maybe I can take over the after party a little bit longer afterwards. Let's get started right away. Okay, you give us the menu, because we've got some very, very big ones and some big cases and some controversy. Tell us what's on the menu for tonight.
No doubt. We got a big win against vaccine mandates that has a broader impact for health and medical freedom across the country. We've got Minnesota trying to impose vaccine mandates on your 6-month-old in case they go to daycare. We have some polling data on COVID vaccines, because I still see some idiots out there that think that there's no political impact of the vaccines on the 2024 election. We've got Supreme Court. We've got Owen Schroyer. We've got the CHD petition being scheduled. We've got 3 decisions on bankruptcy standing that might have some relevance to the Alex Jones discussion to come. Corporate taxes, all the different ways you can get screwed, which the Supreme Court added to this week. And on Indian tribe financing, a little bit interesting political divide there. We've got the number one issue on our board poll, the Trump trial rogue juror scandal. Where does it go next? And of course, the Trump Georgia case getting stayed as predicted. We got a big and excellent Kansas Supreme Court decision on voter fraud as Mark Elias loses again. Remember, everybody, Mark Elias, world famous criminal money launderer, in case you don't know who he is. We've got the Hunter Biden trial, and I'll add to my list and litany of trolls, because I think the criminal prosecution of Hunter Biden violates the 2nd, 5th, and 8th Amendment. In case people thought that my constitutional defense related to Nick Rekieta's case was specific to Rekieta, it was not. It's Constitution first, Constitution forever. Then we got Alex Jones. They're going to try to shut him down. What's going on there? A new area of 1776 Law Center is getting involved in, and that is litigation concerning smart meters. Filed a petition with the Pennsylvania Supreme Court on that. And last but not least, we have Steve Bannon going to prison during the election, plus a bunch of some of the top questions asked by our board, the tipped questions that I have already cut and paste for us to cover as well tonight.
Okay, and people are asking me to jack up your volume a little bit. I do not think that I'm able to do that, so that's going to be one of the modifications to
Have
to
you
ask.
have you done any live ad reads?
No, but we're doing one. We're doing one tonight, and I'm doing it because people need to understand what Rumble has created with Rumble Advertiser Center. It's amazing. We're going to do a live read because I want to see. I want to be a little cynical. I want to run an ad at our max viewership and see how it works for everybody. And content creators are going to understand how amazing it is to be able to do a live auction ad read. Pick the one of your choice, whichever one offers the most cents per view, and run it live. And I know which one we're doing because I like the company. We do work with them. So I'll do it at some point before we end on YouTube because it's revolutionary and people need to understand this. What do we do while we're on YouTube? And let's piss off the YouTube overlords. Let's deal with the Alex Jones situation. So this was the scandal, or this was the not the drama, but the what the heck is the word I'm looking for? The incident last weekend, in which the CRO, the court restructuring officer, was apparently looking to padlock shut down InfoWars on Friday or Saturday. Alex Jones goes with an emergency broadcast, barricades himself in the place, and tells the world that they're trying to shut him down. What happens on Sunday is that the supplement company files an emergency order to the court on the Sunday after this occurs, demanding the dissolution as well, the liquidation of InfoWars. And people were rightly noticing or observing, because it was being reported in the reports, that the supplement company is owned by Jones or controlled by Jones's father, which led people to question why would Jones's father, through counsel, be doing something that some people might think runs against Jones's interests or InfoWars' interests. And I couldn't get a solid answer. I couldn't figure one out on my own. I do have questions about secured creditors versus litigious creditors and who takes priority in the context of a liquidation. And so maybe it's strategic in that sense. And maybe there's going to be some lawsuits flying between rejected settlement offers of plaintiffs and their lawyers. I couldn't get a solid answer to that. But then throughout the week, at least on Friday, it was reported that Jones is liquidating his interest in InfoWars. Chase, who does a show on InfoWars on Sunday nights, was on talking about it. But Robert, I couldn't make sense of that strategy unless I've got it. And that's a question of secured creditors trying to make sure that they don't get bumped down the liquidation ladder in a liquidation and bankruptcy, because it went from Chapter 11 restructuring to Chapter 7 liquidation. And you take it from here because you know more than me.
So the core of the dispute is the Sandy Hook family's lawyers are refusing extraordinarily generous settlement offers. So a Chapter 11 bankruptcy it's called Chapter 11 because that's the section of the bankruptcy laws that it's in. The Constitution of the United States gives to Congress the authority to pass laws governing bankruptcy to provide relief and remedy for debtors from creditors. One of those is that you can reorganize. Hence, that's Chapter 11 reorganization on a corporate basis, sometimes Chapter 13 on an individual basis, sometimes Chapter 12 for certain farming and fishing operations, if it's not too big of a debt. And so otherwise, you are in Chapter 7, which is liquidation, where you sell off all your assets to pay off certain debts. Now, some debts are not dischargeable in bankruptcy. The bankruptcy court has already ruled that Alex Jones cannot personally discharge a bunch of the debts related to the Sandy Hook litigation. But the limitation of the Sandy Hook litigation is a practical one concerning InfoWars. So the InfoWars proposed a reorganization plan that offered the Sandy Hook family lawyers, according to published information, $55 million, which is it would be one of the highest amounts of settlement for this kind of case in its history. The Sandy Hook lawyers refused it and rejected it.
Were there terms on it? Like, I don't know what's public and what's not. Was it a lump sum or was it paid over installments?
The nature of a reorganization would be that it would definitely be paid in installments. There was not enough assets to be available. So the issue that the Sandy Hook lawyers face is that the only recoverable source of money under the Texas laws and bankruptcy laws is ongoing revenue from InfoWars. The ongoing revenue from InfoWars is completely dependent on one man. So that, remember that lunatic who testified in that joke of a proceeding, that so-called show trial in Austin, Texas, with that wacko judge who actually, remember we said they were making a movie in there. She showed up at the red carpet, walking on the red carpet. Look at me, I'm a judge, but really I'm an actress appearing for movies. That's what that fake, phony, and fraud is. What a disgrace. Because of Texas law, the Texas law provides for broad exemptions for an individual. So $100,000 for your family and all personal property, vehicle exemptions for each person that's a licensed individual in the home. Your homestead, your home completely exempt. It can be over 200 acres, about 200 acres out in the country, completely exempt. All of your retirement completely exempt. All your current wages completely exempt. What does that mean? It means nobody can collect it. They can't garnish it. They can't attach it. They can't take it. It's not an available asset. Life insurance proceeds, college savings accounts, all these things completely beyond the reach of any creditor. That means that, so what's left? Jones had a ranch. He's selling the ranch and some other things, but there's not much money there. You aggregate that maybe $4 or $5 million. And then there's the secondary issue, which is that Jones's father, for those that don't know, came up with the supplement idea, has a bigger lien on everything, because basically the structure was done so that he advanced certain credit, if you will, capital to the company on the grounds that it would pay him back over time. That lien has what's called priority. So it is a secured lien with priority above the Sandy Hook families. What that means is the real offer was $55 million or zero. That was the real offer on the table. I believe the Sandy Hook plaintiffs' lawyers are committing legal malpractice. I believe that they are likely misleading, and it wouldn't surprise me. A lot of them, some of the plaintiffs' lawyers are completely crazy. I mean, literally nut jobs. And then some of the other ones are, in my view, corrupt. They're political actors who are motivated, who are misusing these clients as tear-inducing fig leaves for an agenda to silence and suppress and censor the speech of Alex Jones. And here they're going to end up recovering zero, because what Jones has decided is like, okay, if this is the game you guys are playing, I'll just liquidate InfoWars. I'll sell out I'll liquidate my interest in InfoWars, and that will keep the proceeding in the bankruptcy court. And let's say they sell InfoWars. What value does it have? It has almost no value unless Alex Jones is working for it. If he doesn't agree to work for it, it's the only value it has goes to the priority secured lenders, which are in front of and ahead of all the Sandy Hook litigators.
And not to like oversimplify, but InfoWars, other than Alex Jones as an asset or as the entity, has minimal assets. Maybe it's got a $10 million studio that if you disassemble it, it's worth 10 cents on the dollar. I mean, you're not going to rent it out or buy it out.
And whatever is available has got to go to the secured lender that has priority, which is not the Sandy Hook families. They don't have, a litigation judgment is not priority in this case. So they're going to get nothing. And it's all because, basically they're on the clock. They got about a week to accept the deal. Jones was offering a very generous deal, saying, look, I'll keep working at InfoWars to pay this kind of crazy amount, in my opinion, to all these families just to move on from all of this. But I'm not going to work for these plaintiffs' lawyers who want to control what's going on. And I'm not going to go along with a charade that's intended to just shut me down. And so, $55 million over 10 years, that's ridiculous. That's basically all the profits of InfoWars for 10 years. And that's what they turned down. That's what these lunatics turned down. People that shed all the tears for the Sandy Hook family litigants. Let's remember, 98% of the people who lost somebody at Sandy Hook have never blamed Alex Jones. They've never sued Alex Jones. These are the political actors. These are the people that want to take away your rights and used tragedy to do so. Suffering a tragedy does not entitle anybody to take away my rights or anybody else's rights. And now they're being exposed as the political actors they always were. And I got zero sympathy for them because they are misusing and abusing the trauma of what happened to strip the constitutional liberties and rights of other people. And here they were given a very generous financial reward by a completely corrupted judicial process in Connecticut and Texas, and they're going to lose it. And they're going to lose it because their lawyers are incompetent or politically corrupt or conflicted. So I think at the end of the day, if they don't agree to the $55 million by June 14th, they're going to end up with nothing. And those that think so InfoWars might be off the air as InfoWars. Anybody who thinks Alex Jones is disappearing doesn't know Alex Jones. He will be back very quickly in some other form, in some other format, because he's not going to have his voice silenced or censored by these corrupt partisan political actors when he's gone out of his way to be exceedingly generous to these people in the fraudulent show trial they engaged in to make them rich beyond any possible imagination for a bogus case, in my opinion, that they are now turning down. So he's like, look, I mean, they're not going to be able to censor him. They're not going to be able to shut him down. InfoWars will come back in some other form. It just won't be InfoWars LLC. That's all that will happen. And so that they'll have achieved nothing except cost their clients an opportunity to have a very secure financial future. That's all. And I hope that some of those clients sue those Sandy Hook plaintiffs' lawyers. Because those plaintiffs' lawyers are committing malpractice, and those families should sue them into oblivion. Because you know where you can recover money? From that very rich law firm in Connecticut that brought this case, that shook down Remington Rifle and other people. You know who you can get money from? That Texas law firm that was dumb enough to fund this litigation. Those partners got plenty of cash. Those law firms got plenty of cash. So Sandy Hook families, you want to get your money back? Get it by suing your lawyers who are busy committing malpractice. And I might even know some lawyers who will help you out.
I'll highlight a couple of things here that Alex Jones, he could pull, it could be like a Project Veritas type thing. Okay, it's no longer Project Veritas, it's James O'Keefe and OMG. It'll be Alex Jones at whatever. And he doesn't have to make any meaningful money or exceeding that which would be seized in order to execute on this judgment because it's intentional infliction of emotional distress, which survives bankruptcy. The bottom line, though, Robert, let's just say they turned down this offer, tens of $50 some odd million. Secured creditors take their piece of whatever's left over by priority. There's still the appeal. So hypothetically, Jones, goes into a homestead and doesn't do anything, doesn't make any money, pulls a Tucker Carlson. He's not living under a contract, but he'll speak for free. And this gets overturned on appeal. Then they lose absolutely everything. Like this is still under appeal, although it's able to be executed pending the appeal. This could all get overturned if a judge says, yes, sorry, the default verdict was default liability. Wrong. The quantum, insane. And it all gets overturned and they turn down this whatever offers on the table.
Exactly. And what I do think it highlights is Texas law should be changed so that a verdict is not collectible until appeals have been exhausted. That is the case in Connecticut, interestingly enough. It's just not in Texas. And we're seeing the problem. Here, Jones has to go through all of this nonsense because he doesn't have a stay. He doesn't get a stay of the verdict pending appeal. We just saw this problem in New York with Trump, right? Where they're able to, seize a bunch of his assets and him have to post a ridiculous cash bond just to get his right to appeal. So I believe in this in the criminal context too. Eighth Amendment should be completely secure. You should be granted bail pending appeal automatically. No sentence should be enforceable until an appellate remedy has been fully exhausted. And I think it highlights the need for legislative reform across the country, state and federal.
So we will find out more. June 14 is the hearing during which the judge, seems like he's been reasonable, is going to decide whether or not this goes into liquidation, gets kicked back to the state, where the state goes and executes on their judgment for whatever assets they can squeeze out of.
That's difficult for that to happen now. So I mean, that's what Jones did. Jones made it very difficult for the state court to get involved, because by Jones saying, I'm going to liquidate my interest on my individual bankruptcy, now the judge really can't dismiss the reorganization very easily. Even if he does, his personal interest ties up the entity from from any collection action occurring by the state court. So what he did was strategic. What he did was to force this to prohibit the state court from coming in and shutting him down, and and because it has to go through a sale process now, to see who will buy it. And of course, he's been telling them all along, if I don't stay involved, you're not recovering anything. And the reality is, I suspect the plaintiff's lawyers have been lying to their own clients.
Mm-hmm.
And they've been lying and saying, "Oh no, this isn't about shutting him down. This whole lawsuit wasn't about First Amendment suppression." Now, I'm sure it was for some of the clients. Remember, FBI agents have sued Jones, who knew no one who died at Sandy Hook, and were rewarded over $100 million by that joke of a judge in Connecticut and that joke of a jury in Connecticut, based on a rigged trial. That is, you can now find on HBO and see the rigged trial. That's how rigged it was. It was made for movie, literally, made for a script, literally. But the net effect of all this is that if they don't take it, they're going to be out anything, every penny, nickel, dime, and dollar, and Jones will be back in one way, shape, or form.
Well, I mean, this is happening at the same time. This will get another subject off the list as well, but it's related. This is happening at a time when Steve Bannon's going to be going to jail.
I'm sure it's a coincidence, by the way. It's a completely coincidental that this totally apolitical Sandy Hook lawsuit is seeking to shut down Alex Jones right on the eve of the election, at the same time that the court decided and the U.S. Justice Department decided they couldn't wait for Steve Bannon to go to the Supreme Court of the United States. He had to be locked up, for 4 months. Let's see, July, August, September, and October.
Robert, it's a joke, but some people are going to say, look, it's a Trump appointee who's sending him to jail. So suck on it.
Well, it's a reminder of how many mediocre federal judges were appointed by Trump. There were about half his appointees were good, and half of them stunk because of the Federalist Society types that got stuck on there, that were put in that, recycled in that list. And this judge has been okay on some other DC cases, but they're all bad in DC. It's only how bad are they? And this judge, no different. The judge should have extended bail to the Supreme Court. But this needs to be done legislatively because the courts are AWOL now on the right to appeal. You don't really have a right to appeal if you have to pay a judgment while the appeal is pending that moots the benefit of an appeal.
Like Trump's got to put up. What did he end up putting up?
175 million.
Yeah, but he's got it. That's nobody's above the law. That law is stupid. I couldn't understand how in Texas they were executing on a $1.5 billion judgment that itself is laughably insane if it weren't so tragic. While in Connecticut it was stayed pending appeal. That makes sense because the damage is done. And so now Bannon's going to go to jail for 4 months. While he appeals, although as far as anyone goes, Robert, I'm going to rely on your expertise. Unlikely that if the Supreme Court hears it, they overturn it.
Well, I mean, what he can do is he can challenge the denial of bail pending appeal to the DC Court of Appeals, and if they deny it, challenge it to the Supreme Court of the United States. I think it will be probably a reach to get them involved. So that they've deliberately schemed this, in my opinion, to remove Steve Bannon from the election equation during peak election season in July, August, September, and October. It shows how they'll never stop weaponizing every aspect of the justice system, whether it's the Sandy Hook people using the bankruptcy process to shut down Alex Jones and InfoWars, or the Justice Department under the Biden administration and docile judges in D.C. Shutting down Steve Bannon throughout the election season.
I had a question. I think I'm going to forget it now. Oh, Bannon goes to jail. Obviously, I mean, I've been interviewing people from jail, Dexter Taylor, Jake Lang, but you're not allowed.
It's much more difficult in the Federal Bureau of Prisons because jail, you have broader rights because of your pending trial. But once you're in a Bureau of Prison facility like Navarro, like Owen Schroyer was, much more difficult to be able to broadcast or get any information out there.
Wow, so they're gonna shut him up at a wonderfully convenient time as well. Robert, this might be a good moment. I'm looking at 1776 Law Center, and I'm going to go straight to the live ad read for 1775 Coffee. And everybody sees it. You see the QR code there. And this is a coffee that I drink that is delicious. That's already a sponsor. And it's time to say goodbye to Starbucks and say hello to Rumble's 1775 coffee. Unlike other brands, this is a coffee that backs free speech and is unapologetic about it. Visit 1775.com. Use the promo code STUDIO40 to get 40% off any coffee subscription. The coffee comes in medium and dark roasts. It also comes in pea berry, which is similar to Kona coffee. Kona's in Hawaii, people. In other words, the stuff is premium. Click the link in the live chat or in the description. You can go directly to 1775coffee.com. Use the promo code STUDIO40 to get 40% off today, and do it so that we can show how effective this type of advertising is and how absolutely revolutionary this Rumble Advertising Center is. You have your campaigns on the side. I don't know what the limit is as to how many you can run in any given show or how many every 10 minutes. And you do it. You can pick the ones you want to work with, or you don't pick the ones you want to work with. And when you're done reading it, 1775.com, promo code STUDIO40, complete. You hit the button and the ad read is over, and it's revolutionary, people. It's magic. All right.
1775coffee.com, right?
1775. Did I say 1776coffee.com?
Oh, no, you're just saying 1775, but the .com.
Yes, it's 1775coffee.com. Robert, let's do.
They should add tea. When was the Boston Tea Party?
That's a question that's going to be
maybe like
on
1773 or something. But I would like to do like a tea, like 1773 tea. That could be something worth it.
Boston?
1774. I'm blanking on what year it was.
Let me see here. 1773, December 16. On the night of December 16, 1773, dozens of distinguished men, some disguised men, not distinguished, some dressed as indigenous Americans, boarded 3 East Indian Company ships and dumped 342 chests into the Boston Harbor. Amazing.
Oh, that was a good harbor. That was a good Boston
Harbor. Yeah, I was watching Good Will Hunting, or at least clips the other day. Robert, let's do one more before we end on YouTube and go over to let's piss off YouTube while we're at doing it proper. The big vaccine win. Is it the one that coming out of the Ninth Circuit out of
yeah.
Okay, so this is amazing. I did a vlog on it yesterday. Some headlines were running with the headline that the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeal declares the COVID jab not a traditional vaccine. And I hope I fleshed it out properly in the stream, because that's not exactly true. But what's true of this decision is even more impactful than had the court come out and said, no, this is not a traditional vaccine. They didn't. What this was a Los Angeles United School District school board that created a vaccine mandate policy, mandatory for all employees or teachers. And some teachers, I guess, didn't like it, and they sued. After the LAUSD got sued, they then issue a corrective memorandum or a clarifying memorandum saying, if you don't want to subject yourself to the jibby jab, well, you could just do testing and whatever. So therefore, it's not mandatory anymore. And therefore, the lawsuit was, moot without object. I think they dismissed it, or they dropped the lawsuit. And immediately after they drop it, LAUSD goes right back to a mandatory vaccination policy. They then get sued again. They go into court for years. And like 3 weeks after oral arguments before the Court of Appeal, which I guess didn't go as well as they thought, they drop the mandate policy. And then they say, no issue, moot, dismiss. And the lower court dismissed the case. And the Court of Appeals vacated the lower court's decision and said, no, this is not moot. You got the LAUSD has been behaving very, very badly. Gaining the system to game the litigation so they can avoid the lawsuit and tinker with the mandate, drop the mandate, whatever. And the Court of Appeals 2-1 said that we have to take for granted the plaintiff's allegations. They're not alleging that this jab is a bona fide, legitimate, traditional vaccine as per the ruling in Jacobson. They're specifically alleging that it's not a traditional vaccine, that it doesn't prevent transmission or contracting the virus, and therefore it's more of a therapeutic, and therefore Jacobson doesn't apply. And the court said, not that we agree that it's not a traditional vaccine. They say we have to take that allegation for granted. And the defendants haven't rebutted it enough by just relying on the CDC safe and effective. And to the extent that they allege it's not a traditional vaccine, then their suit cannot be dismissed based on Jacobson, which dealt with a smallpox vaccine, one that actually worked. And so in a way, it's even more impactful than had the court come out and just said it outright. They're saying, if it's not a traditional vaccine, then Jacobson does not apply. And that is, unless it gets overturned, now Court of Appeal, Ninth Circuit legal precedent.
Yes, absolutely. And you note that the logic of their decision tracks the debate that we had with Alan Dershowitz at the very beginning of this, where Dershowitz admitted and acknowledged that you could not impose a mandate of a vaccine simply for someone's own benefit, that it had to benefit other people, which meant that in order for a vaccine mandate to be constitutional, if issued by a government or state actor, it needed to prevent transmission. And the allegation of the complaint here was that the COVID-19 vaccine does not effectively prevent transmission. And the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals said, well, if you're able to prove that, then, and some people thought that the Ninth Circuit concluded that had been proven.
Yeah.
That is not what the Ninth Circuit is saying. The Ninth Circuit is saying, if you're able to prove it, then you prevail. And since we're at the pleading stage of the case where we presume you're able to prove it, then you get to go forward to the discovery stage of the case. And now I'm not shedding any tears for the fact that a lot of people think the court said it's not a real vaccine, because it's not a real vaccine. But putting that aside, legally, all the court determined was, if you allege this, that allegation is sufficient to get past the dismissal stage. And what it is it basically says you shift from a Jacobson framework to a Cruzon analysis, which is the Supreme Court case that said you have the right to bodily autonomy, right to privacy, that incorporates and includes the right to decline medical treatment. And that had not been consistently applied in the vaccine context. So it was huge that they said this applies to the vaccine mandates just as much as anything else. And that means if you can allege by the way, little unknown fact, Jacobson did allege this about the smallpox vaccine. The courts lied about it going through the entire process.
Well, so sorry, clarify. Jacobson alleged what? That the
smallpox vaccine didn't work.
Okay. Well, now did they allege it, and was it proven that it did work? I mean,
those good. They would never let him prove it. And so but that's, in the back, they go, officially, the Supreme Court just pretended that allegation wasn't before them. So because they did that, that limited the legal impact, the reach of their precedent. Now, I would point out, Jacobson never should have been cited by anybody. Jacobson is the foundation of the trilogy of infamy of American courts. It is any judge citing Jacobson is citing one of the favorite cases that was utilized to establish Buck v. Bell, and that is the horrendous eugenics case issued by the Supreme Court of the United States. And they're citing a case that was a favorite of Adolf Hitler and the Nazis. So they should be embarrassed that they've ever cited Jacobson for anything, because it was part of the Jacobson, Buck v. Bell, Korematsu trilogy of infamy that said you could eviscerate people's constitutional rights or liberties in the middle of an emergency. That was always nonsense. That was embarrassing and humiliating decisions by the Supreme Court that showed their bigotry and prejudice and fear and cowardice. But putting that aside, at least now we have a Ninth Circuit that has said Jacobson can only apply in a context in which the vaccine is actually a vaccine and must actually be safe and effective. And if it's not, then you can't force somebody to take it. And the reality is that will be, quite frankly, easily proven at trial, in front of a jury. So this is the death nail of vaccine mandates across the country.
Yeah, because I didn't appreciate it where the judge said, if it's not a traditional vaccine that actually prevents the spread and transmission, or the transmission and contracting, then Jacobson doesn't apply. And that's a high court ruling, and I thought that was even more impactful than what people had misunderstood it to say.
Yes.
Okay, phenomenal. And then they sent it back down for remand, and we'll see what happens there.
Now, it's a big win, thanks to Robert Kennedy and Children's Health Defense, who funded a lot of these cases, and all the other freedom lawyers that are out there working on this. I was here in Denver at a conference with the Freedom Council, Warner Mendenhall, and a group of others were co-counsel on the Brooke Jackson case. A couple of interesting ideas were coming out of this conference. I was unaware that the state of Minnesota is trying to secretly, effectively inject your kids with these vaccines by imposing it as a mandate on childcare and daycare centers. There's supposed to be a robust personal exemption right under Minnesota law from any vaccine mandate on children, but you're going to have to be cognizant and attentive to it. But the other thing is they were coming up with ideas about making criminal referrals related to the PrEP Act does not extend to criminal investigations, criminal indictments, restitution that might be issued under criminal indictments, to state key TAM claims as well as federal key TAM claims. There may be fraud connections to your local hospital or pension fund concerning this. So there may be a lot of way. They were brainstorming at this conference ways to go after the vaccine makers for the harms that they've caused without being stuck in the immunity PrEP Act or childhood immunity list category. And so there's a lot of work being done by a lot of people across the country to try to find relief and remedy for the vaccine injured. And for the idiots out there, including some in the Trump camp that have deluded themselves into believing that nobody cares about the vaccine. That's not a big issue. You don't understand, Barnes. That's a non-issue. In fact, most normies, they love the vaccine, Barnes. These people are so up Trump's rear end that they can't see the light of day. So 1776 Law Center surveyed the question. 1 out of 5 Americans report that someone very close to them suffered a serious or severe injury or death from the vaccine. That is the highest rate ever reported of any drug in the history of America. If you think that 1 out of 5 Americans don't care about the vaccine, you're the one being delusional. You don't help Trump by saying, oh, yeah, keep running towards that cliff. Good job, Mr. President. I want to be a cheerleader for Trump and watch him jump off that cliff and fall on his face. That's not helping Trump. You're hurting Trump. So and by the way, another 10% of Americans suspect the vaccine caused serious and severe injury or death to someone very close to them. So this isn't somebody I saw somebody on the internet. This isn't I saw somebody on social media. These are close family members. That's who this is. 1 out of 5 up to 1 out of 3. And that number's only going to grow. And the same numbers say they know somebody that was discriminated against related to the vaccine, and either in educational or employment or other benefits. And if you look at who they are, it's disproportionately millennials and Zoomers and Hispanics and African Americans. Guess who is now the biggest swing voter group in America? The biggest group deciding whether to vote at all, whether to vote Trump or Kennedy. It's that exact same working class, minority, millennial, and Zoomer vote. And they have disproportionately experienced direct and deliberate harm by this vaccine. So anybody pretending that the vaccine has no political consequence are ignoring the realities of this. And I'll add one little component for those people out there, because I was here at this conference. You meet people who have been injured by the vaccine, hurt by the vaccine, know someone close to them that's injured and hurt by them. You look them in the eye and tell them it doesn't matter. So, I mean, these people are in dangerous levels of delusion that endanger President Trump's campaign and presidency with by saying, okay, I just want to pretend that President Trump is perfect and never made any mistakes in his life. Quit doing it. You're not helping Trump. You're not helping America, and you're ignoring the real pain of real people. This is a big issue, and you're starting to see it reflected and represented in the courts. The courts are cognizant of what's happening in the court of public opinion. That's why you're seeing these shifting to the 8th Circuit Court of Appeals that has historically been extraordinarily pro-employer, saying no more, all these lawsuits should be going forward for religious discrimination concerning employer vaccine mandates. Now you have the 9th Circuit, which has been one of the more pro-vaccine courts in the country, saying, by the way, these vaccine mandates don't fly if this vaccine isn't in fact a vaccine and doesn't prevent transmission. And down deep, we all know it doesn't prevent transmission. The script has flipped, and things are going to continue to move in the right direction on vaccine liability and accountability. And anybody in politics that's smart, that's the side they will be on, not the side of denial and delusion and big food and big pharma.
All right, amazing. Now, Robert, I pulled myself from the stream because I'm trying to figure things out in terms of how we end on Rumble, and I don't want to refresh on studio because I don't want to kill the entire stream. I'm going to do one thing. Okay, I think we're going to go over to Rumble and vivabarneslaw.locals.com. The link is in the pinned comment up in YouTube. And I think everybody's pretty much there anyhow. If you want to come directly to Locals, I'm going to bring it there. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to read some of the chat first. Hold on. Locals here. Boom. Let me read some of the chat because it's not saving all of the donation chat. So I'm going to read it just straight from Viva Barnes Law. $10 from Joe Sap 23. Robert, where did you eat in Denver? Lots of great restaurants. I heard they have lots of great steakhouses.
Oh, they have a great cigar bar here at the Brown Palace. We a bunch of us from the Freedom Conference crashed it last night. They let us stay there like 2 hours after closing. So we had some great cigars. So they have great cognac list, great Scotch list, and it was old school. It's like like Denver likes to pretend it's an old cowboy country kind of thing, frontier town. Most of them are soy boys, who like to pretend to be surfers and skiers and whatever, skaters. But the old school Denver has a little bit here, and the Churchill Cigar Bar has cigars there too. Pretty good cigar list. Was fantastic. So so that was great. Otherwise, I didn't get a chance, unfortunately, to get to experience the Denver dining scene, which does have some high accommodations and recommendations.
Ganthit, $5 says, is there any hope for Alex Jones winning an appeal for these ridiculous rulings against him? We got to that one already.
Yeah, and he should, but the appeals court in Austin is a joke. The Connecticut Court of Appeals is a joke. So we'll see whether he needs either the Texas Supreme Court or the U.S. Supreme Court to step in. And maybe when they see what all this was about, what it was a complete scam just to shut him down, maybe they'll do the right thing and reinforce the First Amendment to the Constitution that they have abandoned in these cases. The Alex Jones cases violated the First Amendment, period.
Will Rogers says, please look at the work of Marley Hornick and Harry Oury of United Sovereign Americans. Viva, Marley would be a great interview. The legal strategy brings federal civil rights lawsuits in a minimum of 11 states, 9 appeals courts, districts before the 24 election. The goal is to obtain temporary restraining orders against the continued illegal certification of non-certifiable elections. The expected different rulings would make it possible for an automatic writ of certiorari to SCOTUS. I've screen grabbed it. Is Looney Ludig worth a hush-hush episode, Robert? Or have you already done one, says Ithaca 37 Cato?
Not yet. I do want to get back to that. I've got one coming on the Titanic, who or what really sunk it. I've got a hush-hush coming on a bunch of topics. But yeah, Looney Ludig is probably worth his own one.
I'm going to blast through some of these in Rumble. Joe Crowell, would Barnes be Trump's district attorney and run the DOJ if asked? Robert, you would obviously say
Oh,
yes.
sure. There's a bunch of great people lining up. And Trump has great people in his camp and rogue actors in his camp. And there's a devil on one shoulder and a lot of angels on the other. And we want him to listen to the angels.
Well, there could be no one better than you, Robert. I would, but no, sorry, we'll see. One can always hope. Oh, look at this. We got it right up on the top. King of Biltong. Good afternoon from Anton's Meat and Eat. 10% off with code VIVA10 for your biltong on www.biltongusa.com and www.antonusa.com. If your purchase already qualifies for free shipping, use this code. Grandpa's Place, Facebook post notice if they declare a mistrial with Facebook post notice if they declare a mistrial with double jeopardy attached, then the Democrats get to say Trump is a convicted felon who got off on a technicality. We're going to talk about that in a second. In April 1775, British soldiers fired on colonists, which resulted in several declarations of independence being written. May 1775, the Mecklenburg. June, the Lancaster. July, New Hampshire. V6 Neon 1773 T. Now that's a bit of salty for us Brits. LOL. What's the view from your side of the pond on the EU elections? French president spat his dummy out and called a snap general election, just like the UK PM. Ginger Ninja. Robert, I was told by Matt Christensen that he'd love to interview you about Amos Miller and your food freedom case. He wants to put it on blast. I think you able to make time for that interview. And Matt G. Hammond says, you missed my super chat. Yeah, I unfortunately think I'm going to have missed all of the super chats because they were not kept in the Rumble studio. So that's a note that I'm going to have to make. If the American people really want their medical care system back, we must break the power of the AMA and their medical central policies. Okay, sorry about all the super chats because I can't seem to find them. And they were not kept on the donation list. So sorry about that. I'll tinker with that and make sure they make the change. Okay, right now we are ending on YouTube and Twitter. So I'm going to go here. No, that's bringing the window up. Okay, I'll figure this out sooner than later, people, but hold on. I go to here, and then I go Rumble and Locals. Bada bing, bada boom. Come on over And that's where the party will be. Then we're going to have the locals supporters only afterwards. Ending and updating. So we're losing it on YouTube and Twitter. Come on over to Rumble or vivabarneslaw.locals.com.